everyone, welcome back to FinMeUp. Today we are privileged to have Lebo Lion SA on the channel. For those who've been following her for a while, you'll know that she's got loads and loads of knowledge in various fields in the financial world, in marketing, in side hustles. So it's a big privilege to have her on the channel. Welcome, Lebo. It's really great to have you here. And just for those watching, stay till the end of the video. There's going to be a lot of exciting content that's valuable to you. So we're going to talk about marketing, so growing your social media account, for example, and also about our side hustles and a mix between the two, so you can actually monetize your following. So Lebo, if we jump straight into growing social media, so that is the Instagrams, the Twitters, even maybe the YouTubes. If someone, let's say I'm a person that I haven't really built a following on these channels, but I really want to. You know, what should my first step be, and how do I capitalize on that?
Hi, Hugo. Thank you so much for having me, and hello, FinMeUp tribe. I'm really honored to be here, and I can't wait to have this conversation because, you know, I'm really passionate about social media and marketing and how small businesses and personal brands can unearth the true potential that these platforms have so that they can build the lives that they love. So thank you for having me. You've asked a very, very good question, right? A lot of people wonder, how do I even start the social media journey, right? Because it can be really daunting. There's so many social media platforms out there. How do you know which one to work with? And how do you even get noticed when there's so many people who have a lot of followers and you're just like this, you know, unknown person with like 5 people who follow you, and most of them are probably like your friends or your family or, you know, people who know you personally. And I just want everyone who's watching this show today to go on my social media pages and see how many followers I have. And I want them to do that because I want them to understand the context that I'm speaking from. Because when I started my social media journey, I only had 300 followers on Twitter. And I really didn't know how I was going to grow those pages and get the followers that I wanted so people could actually see the work that I was doing. And so I did a bit of my research, and I decided that creating a podcast would be the best way for me to show my value to people. And I was hoping that in doing that, it would help grow my social media platforms. And because I'm somebody who loves to write and who likes to have conversations, I chose Twitter as my primary social media platform that I was going to do a lot of my comms and community building on, because it had a lot of attributes that fit my natural skill sets, right? So when I created this podcast, I had 300 and something followers. And literally my first episode, I recorded my first episode 4 years ago. And just from that episode, I grew to 2,000 followers on Twitter because people really enjoyed the content. And I recorded this podcast on my phone, on the voice notes app. And I literally just like uploaded it on SoundCloud, and I was like, listen, God, you got me. This has to work. So, and obviously it wasn't just like magic. So I didn't just record and then post and then boom, you're done, right? I did my research, like I said. And what I realized from social media is that people don't necessarily care about who you are until you're a celebrity. So if you want to catch people's attention in the beginning, what you have to do is give them something that's valuable to them, something that they need, something that they actually want to consume. And I created my podcast because I had been working in incubators, and I realized that there were so many SMEs and personal brands that didn't have the basic tools that I thought they needed to build their businesses from ground up. And I was just like, but these tools are everywhere, they're free. You guys should know about this because it can really change how you do business. And when I posted my podcast, people could resonate with the content that I was giving them. And, you know, another thing with social media is that it's a storytelling platform because there's a lot of noise, right? So what you have to do to get your content to be seen is to tell stories. And this is also a daunting thing. And I would actually recommend that if you don't know how to tell stories, go on YouTube, Google that thing, find people who actually teach you how to do that, because that is really the key. Tell stories. Because people don't understand things until they can relate to it, and they relate to it through stories. So that's how I used to market my podcast. You know, I'd say, with the unemployment rate being XYZ, small business owners have to leverage from this and this. If you need this, click on this link and you will be able to access free tools that will help you take your business from point A to point B. You know, and And that's how I grew my following. So it wasn't because I knew people, I didn't know anybody. Literally, I was a nobody according to the social media streets. But within the space of 2 years, I think I'd grown to like 25K followers on Twitter, tweeting about something that I was told people were not interested in, because who sits and tweets about marketing all day? Like, who cares about that, right? But apparently 25,000 people cared about it 2 years ago, and now more people are caring about it. And I've been able to make a lot of money tweeting about marketing, speaking about marketing, and doing everything related to what I love. So I think when it comes to growing a social media platform and making it into an asset online and starting with almost zero, you have to be authentic. You have to tell stories, and you must talk about something that you care about, that you have a lot of knowledge in, because it takes a long time to grow. So you have to be producing that content consistently. And if you don't know what you're talking about, you won't necessarily have all of the tools you need to be able to keep going year after year after year after year. It's a long game. It's a real investment. So it's better to talk about things things you're interested in, and connect with people who are genuinely interested in what you have to give. Because I think that's the sweet spot. So don't think about how many followers do I have. You should be thinking about what kind of impact do I want to leave? What are my natural skill sets? How do I share these with people in a way that is valuable to them? And I think when you start like that, the sky's the limit when it comes to social media.
Yeah, so it's almost like, if you add value to the social media community, they'll add it back by following you and growing that following. So it's all about,
Yes.
finding something you're passionate about and then putting that value into the system of social media, and you'll receive the rewards by continuously doing that. It's also something, for example, we saw with FinMeUp. For example, on our Instagram page, we've got almost 30,000 followers, where every day we post lots of financial education content. So how do you monetize it?
How do you monetize it? That's a big question, isn't it? Because all of us want to make money. And there's nothing wrong. I always say to people, you should want to be paid for the things you're good at. There's money out there, and there is money for what you are good at. So it's good for us to monetize the things that we put our time and effort into. I think there are various ways to monetize your social media platforms. And it all starts with how you position your platforms, right? Because the positioning is what will communicate the value to the stakeholders that you want, whose attention you want to get, so that they can actually put some money into what you do. So there are two different ways to monetize. Firstly, you can either monetize from your community and the automatic mechanisms that are present on some platforms like YouTube, or you can actually use what you're creating. So let's say it's a podcast or a YouTube page, and sell that to interested parties, or use that to show interested parties what your skills are, so that they can book you for speaking engagements, put money into your YouTube channel and sponsor maybe 3-4 shows or whatever the case may be. So there's literally, like, you get investors or stakeholders who want to put money in via advertising, or you can monetize through the natural mechanisms of the platform. So for example, with YouTube, you can monetize once you get a certain amount of views and watch hours or whatever the case may be, you start to monetize, right? A lot of people, when you look online, it looks like a very easy, quick solution, like, oh, I'm just going to start a YouTube page and I'm going to monetize soon. But it doesn't actually work like that. YouTube, like every other social media platform, actually needs you to spend a lot of time on it. And I think we undermine how much consistency and work goes into being able to monetize on these platforms. And the amount you get from these platforms depends on how much engagement you get, how many views you get, how it's all dependent on, I would say, very random factors that are not necessarily in your control, because you can do all of the right things and not get all of those things coming to you. So you almost have to keep producing until you hit that sweet spot where you get that one video that goes to 1 million views, or you get that one podcast that trends, that one podcast episode that trends, and then you start to see the automatic mechanisms actually working in your favor. I also love the fact that on Facebook, you can monetize now. And on Instagram, what you can do, which is really great, is you can sell products related to the content that you're giving people. So if you're a thought leader or you're a platform like FinMeUp, you could be selling, I don't know, budgeting tools or ebooks about cryptocurrency or whatever the case may be. So products that are related to the content that you share. And I would seriously advise people to do this because I think it puts a lot of power in your hands. You know, you get to decide how much money you make simply by how you design your website, how you design your offering, and galvanizing your community to actually come and buy the thing that you're offering. So I'd say sell products related to the content that you give people because they will find it valuable. It should be valuable to them. Another way to monetize is to become an influencer in the industry that you influence. So I'm a marketer. I influence people in the marketing, advertising, FMCG spaces. So a lot of those brands and universities, they'll come to me and say, we really loved your podcast and this topic. Can you influence this campaign? It's actually related to the podcast topic. We'll pay you X amount. I think people are sleeping on influencer marketing. There's a lot of money in influencer marketing. I've been able to pay for a lot of things just from my Instagram influencer campaigns. And those only came to me from my podcast and some pictures that I took to showcase the podcast on my Instagram page. So I think what people aren't doing right now when it comes to monetizing is repurposing their content for different platforms so that they can maximize the value from a monetary perspective that they would get from creating that one piece of content. And I think if more of us do that, and then we just amend how our content exists on different platforms, we'll be able to monetize the way that that platform monetizes. I think I also spoke about ebooks and courses that's, you know, selling products that are related to what you do. And then also, I think a lot of people are sleeping on the idea of getting your community to pay for the content that you sell. So I know, for example, on Twitter Spaces, you can monetize that. People can actually donate money or put money in depending on how they feel about your content. And if you've got a great personal brand and a strong community, your community usually comes, you know, they come through and they support everything that you do. So don't be afraid to ask your community to pay for the things and the content that you give them. They want to pay for it. I've been asked many times by people who follow me, please write an ebook. We want to buy an ebook. Please do a course. We want to pay for the course. Please host an event. We want to pay for the event, you know. So don't be afraid to ask your community to pay because there's so many opportunities that lie within that. Then I'd also say create a rate card, have a profile, and pitch yourself to corporates. Corporates have so many needs, and a lot of them, because of 4IR and how the government is repositioning and spending, they want to work with people who have assets online, especially people who have valuable content like FinMeUp, like me talking about marketing, etc. They have incubators that they want to put us in. They've got corporates have different campaigns that they want us to speak on. They've got different, what are they called? Divisions in their companies where they want people like us to teach their staff how to do the things that we know how to do, because everybody's trying to pivot to the online space. They're trying to teach their employees how to exist on those spaces. So there are a lot of opportunities. Keep pitching yourself and you will see the more credible you look online, so the more followers you get, the more professional your platform looks, the more engaged your platform is, the more corporates take it seriously, the more money they're willing to pay you for what you do. And then you can also get corporates to pay for advertising. If you've got a podcast, if you've got a YouTube channel, whatever the case may be, there are lots of companies that want to plug into your audience through adverts. And so I think when it comes to monetizing your social media platforms, and I mean, there are lots of ways. I did a podcast about this. So please check it out if you want to find out all the different ways. But I think the key here with monetizing is your value when it comes to corporates and other stakeholders who could invest in your podcast is your audience. It's not you. So it's not about Lebo Lion being great. It's about Lebo Lion having an engaged audience that comments, that participates, that clicks on links. You know, that's the value. So when you create your pitches for corporates and investors, make sure that you're selling your audience and not you, because you don't really matter. It's your community that matters. The corporates want the eyes. They want to get that attention. And if you can show them that you can, you know, leverage on that attention and make it make sense for them, they'll want to work with you.
Yeah, communities are everything. That's also one of our very big focuses. So we have actually community channels. We'll put the links in the descriptions for those who haven't joined to the FinMeUp channels. We'll also put that podcast of yours in the description for those wanting to listen to that. And it's so basically it all comes down to, if you can grow your following, then you can monetize it. There's so many options to monetize. It's all about growing the following, and growing the following, you do it through actually finding something you're passionate about and then posting on a regular basis about it and not giving up. Because it's that classic quote, you can spend 10 years on something and then finally still nothing happens, because life doesn't owe us anything. But that's why it's also important. That's why it's also important to learn about what we are doing. So if we see something's not working, to actually go out and research, what am I doing wrong? And then doing that necessary change to actually do it much better and improve continuously. And that's how the followers will grow. For example, on our Instagram channel, for a long time on FinMeUp's Instagram channel, it was just posting about what FinMeUp is. Then we started trying something where we just actually gave continuous education every day. So investing tips, news, quotes, all of these things. And all of a sudden, our followers grew. It's every researching what to do better. So thank you for all the valuable tips. It's definitely something our community will enjoy. If there's any last advice you want to give, otherwise we can call this, and the viewers can just submit questions that they have in the comments, and either us or hopefully you can respond to that if they have any questions. And I mean, it was great having you and all that valuable, interesting information that you gave us.
Thank you, Hugo. And you raised a very valid point that I didn't note when I was talking about monetizing your platforms. And that's the myth that I think that you need to have a lot of followers to monetize. I started monetizing when I had 5,000 followers on Twitter. Because brands were already seeing the value that I was giving. And so they called me and they said, hey, we'd like to work with you. We don't mind that your community is 5,000. That 5,000 is valuable to us, So I think it's a very delicate balance, and I always talk to people about knowing how to pitch yourself, getting people to buy into your vision, because people who understand your vision will grow with you. They don't need you to be at 1 million followers for them to see that you're a 1 million follower kind of account or a 1 million follower kind of brand, So you really need to find ways to communicate your value as well. So yes, I'm Lebo, I've got 5,000 followers now, but actually I'm building this thing. Here's the research that shows that it's necessary. And here's my strategy on how I'm going to make this become 10 times bigger in the next XYZ years. A lot of people need to start seeing their social media platforms as businesses. The world really is pivoting to social media being the primary marketplace for all commercial exchanges and transactions, right? We're seeing this with NFTs and things like that. So you have to start seeing your social media as a business. How would you run your business? Do you have a business plan? Have a social media plan? Do you have a pitch document? Have a social media pitch document? All of those things, you really need to start seeing it that way, because it is a gigantic marketplace with endless opportunities that if you sleep on it or undermine it or use it as a play tool, then you will not get the value that you should be getting from it.
Well, that's very valuable. Thank you so much, Lebo Lion SA. It will put your social media channels in the descriptions. It was absolutely great having you and all that valuable information. For everyone watching, thanks for watching. If you found some value, which I'm sure you did, consider liking. It really goes a long way and it helps spread the video. Thank you so much, Lebo.
Thank you for having me, Hugo. Thank you for FinMeUp Tribe. I really enjoyed myself.
Awesome. Cheers. Bye.